Welcome to part 3 of our Oakland Budget series. Today we're going to talk about the past, present, and future of budgets. In other words, today's budget is not just about meeting our needs of today, it's also about keeping the promises that we made in the past, as well as addressing those financial needs that we know are going to be there in the future. We have made a lot of promises in the past. These are legal obligations that we must keep. We have to spend money on these legal obligations, even though there are so many other things we'd rather put our resources into. Take, for example, my least favorite, and that is the 1995 Raiders deal. To bring the Raiders back from LA to Oakland, the city issued $200 million in bonds. And at the time, they were promised that sales would more than pay for the debt service on those bonds. Well, we all know how that story ended. The sales did not cover those payments, and ever since, the city of Oakland has had to pay roughly $10 million a year. We're still going to have to pay that in this upcoming budget, even though we all know how the story about the Raiders ended. Another important example is CalPERS. Oakland is part of the statewide retirement system. Years ago, the CalPERS board assumed that its investments would earn a certain amount for the fund. Well, when the market crashed, we all knew that was not going to happen. So CalPERS has now made all of its members pay much higher rates so that they can catch up for those overly optimistic projections of the past. These are just a couple examples of legal obligations that the City of Oakland has, and one of the many reasons that most of the money in the budget is already obligated. Oakland has to honor its commitments of the past and meet its legal obligations, and that's one of many reasons that so little money is up for completely discretionary spending, only 10% of the total budget. And we also have to think about the future in our budget. For example, every year we're seeing more and more retirees compared with the number of active employees. And that has caused us to have a growing unfunded retirement liability. For example, we have approximately $1 billion in unfunded medical retiree benefits alone. It would be easy to ignore the future needs in today's budget, but we cannot put future generations of Oaklanders at risk. We can't just keep kicking that can down the road. As mayor, I'm committed to doing things in today's budget that will put this city in a much stronger position in the future. So while it's not so exciting, it's really important, some of the recent things we've done to put Oakland on a much better path for the future, like establishing our first rainy day fund and a new policy to ensure we start paying down those unfunded liabilities. This budget will be the first budget with that new unfunded liability policy in place. That means 2.5% of payroll is going to be set aside for a trust so that it is waiting there to keep our promises to future Oakland workers. Also, we have worked with our labor unions, starting with our Oakland Police Officers Association, to cap what we pay in medical benefits for our retired officers. Also, the firefighters have done the same. And because of our great first responders, in just the first year alone, we will reduce our unfunded medical retirement liabilities by $175 million. We're also making up for decisions of the past and planning for the future by starting to chip away at all the deferred maintenance on the city's infrastructure. And that really starts with those roads. Now, all of this work is making a huge difference. We are starting to look financially more strong and stable. In fact, we just got our credit rating upgraded to the third highest possible rating with a stable outlook. This saves the city money in many ways. So you see, while all what I just talked about might not sound all that exciting, it is truly important. We have to keep our promises of the past, and we have to ensure a great, strong Oakland for the future.